I think that you've hit the nail on the head. The two biggest challenges I think that lenders are faced at the moment is around the regulatory pressures and also customer expectations. Both of those themes and topics are becoming increasingly complex and increasingly challenging for lenders. If we look at regulatory pressures, first of all, there's a huge amount of uncertainty at the moment, particularly if we think about the motor finance space. We think about the Supreme Court ruling around the discretionary commission arrangements, so the DCAs. Nobody really knows which way that's going to go at the moment, and nobody's really sure whether that's actually going to impact beyond that kind of broker introduced commission type lending, or whether actually there could be more impact across a broader spectrum of lending. This could be a kind of a PPI scale amount of redress that these firms need to go through, which would be incredibly disruptive for them and also the wider industry. And if it does branch out into further areas, that is also going to be incredibly complex for lenders to handle. There's a broader kind of piece around regulation as well, I think, in terms of the government's deregulation agenda, but also looking at what the FCA are doing and their focus on consumer duty and kind of a greater emphasis now on moving that to supervisory authority and looking at like the fair value and vulnerability aspect of that. I think if we looked at customer experience, we are all customers ourselves, aren't we, of financial services and financial institutions, and everybody expects a far better experience with everything that they're doing, don't they? Like you expect to be able to pay everything on your phone when you want to, you expect a digital service 24/7, and you expect that to always be available. That's incredibly complex to actually achieve for lenders and for them to be able to support. And we'll find that customers continue to expect more and more of this kind of seamless service as AI evolves and as the kind of the technology that is available becomes easier to use and more widely adopted.
2025 for me has been a very optimistic conversation with clients, to be honest. I think there's certainly new entrants we're seeing to various different markets, so various fintechs coming into existing markets, but also I think established lenders looking at their technology with a view to starting to scale and grow as a business. So I look at this in terms of where the challenges are based on the lens and the position of where the client is. So you can add more complexities in that. For example, new entrants to markets are looking at time to market. So how quickly can they start lending? I think with established lenders, there's another lens looking at operational efficiency, operational effectiveness, and how they can improve that. So I think also with established lenders, it's how can we embed new technology with existing ecosystems of other parties. So I think there are the sort of regulatory pressures. I think there are the consumer challenges around frictionless journeys, but I think there's also other lenses on that layers on top of that around those points around ensuring that they can continue to use existing ecosystems that exist and also improve operational efficiency and effectiveness of what they're doing.
Yeah, I think for me, both the points that the guys have raised are really, really relevant. I think I probably think more broadly and from a sort of an execution and operational perspective. I think that the regulatory environment is always challenging. I think that there's, and evolving, and I think that's the key thing, is it's evolving, which means that companies need to be adaptable and they need to be able to change quickly to that. I think the environment that lenders operate in is very thin margins, it's very competitive. Costs are always going to be a big issue for lenders, and the cost of funds, particularly in the last few years, has been under tremendous pressure. I think for that reason, again, you've got elements of operational efficiency which are really important in there, but also that combined with the fact that you need to be able to change quite a lot. And then I think the third kind of big thing in my head, and this is really what Sam was talking to as well, which is consumer expectations are higher than ever. Like no one expects less than what they had before. Everybody expects more. I think we want, which is a good thing, I think more broadly for us as a society, I think people want like the hyper customized journeys. They want to have the ability to get money where they want to get money, to pay where they want to pay, and to operate where they want to operate. And all of these things, you bring them together and they drive like a lot more operational execution demand. So, you know, as a lender, you've got more demands, more regulatory pressures, more operational pressures, all just combining into something which means you need to be super efficient and be excellent at doing what you do, and really adding value to the customer journey for the competitive environment.
I think it's interesting to touch on that point around the customers. Are they kind of that? Yeah, it's got to be digital, but also there's got to be a person available when that person is needed as well. Not all journeys can be completed digitally, can they? And actually that then calls in the efficiency aspect of it as well, doesn't it? Lenders need to be able to deal with those customers efficiently and effectively, even if they're calling in, and having a good service to do that is really key.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating actually when you think about recoveries and things like that. And when you look at a lot of consumers, you'll get certain consumers that just definitely want to speak to a person, certain consumers that don't want to speak to a person at all and find that more difficult. So you've got to be able to personalize and customize those journeys and those interactions to how your customers want to behave, which, you know, demands are high.